In February 1995, LucasArts released a video game called Star Wars Dark Forces, which covered a story set in the months before and after the Battle of Yavin had taken place. The game is centered around the character Kyle Katarn, who is hired by the Rebellion to investigate the devastating destruction of a secret rebel base located on the mid-rim planet of Talay. A former Imperial stormtrooper, Katarn had recently left Imperial service regarding his father's actual death at the hands of the Inquisitor, Cherrick. Now a rebel allied mercenary in Star Wars Dark Forces, Katarn agrees to help the Rebellion. However, what the Rebellion was not aware of was what the Empire had used to create such destruction in one-on-one combat, and could not simply have been an attack by standard Imperial stormtroopers. The Galactic Empire during this time were totally on the offensive after the massive defeat at Yavin and the blow to the Emperor's authority across the galaxy. A high-ranking Imperial and former Clone Wars veteran, General Mock, was a cybernetics specialist at the Imperial Department of Military Research, which was a secretive government military research agency within the Galactic Empire. His knowledge of cybernetics presented the ability to realise the weaknesses of the Separatist droid designs during combat, and successfully helped destroy many of them during the Clone Wars. General Mock's secret research created the Dark Trooper project, and in the wake of the destruction of the first Death Star, he saw an opportunity to persuade the highest levels of the Empire that his Dark Trooper project could bring a new era to the Empire and a decisive advantage over the Rebellion. General Mock had originally learned from his time at the Taig Company to develop the ZX-3 experimental droid trooper, as well as the Dark Trooper Phase Zero project. In the early years of the Empire, General Mock, working with the Imperial Department of Military Research, requisitioned the Arc Hammer to both construct, house and transport the Dark Troopers. The Phase 2 Dark Troopers' capabilities were extremely effective in swiftly defeating the rebels. Although they appeared similar to stormtroopers, they were taller and bulkier. Their armour was made of a durable alloy called Frink, which was a metallic compound which was one of the only few lightsaber-resistant substances known to the galaxy. Also, the Phase 2 Dark Troopers' weapons fired both plasma shells and explosive rockets. The Arc Hammer produced the Dark Troopers and deployed them over the planet they were to attack, aboard their hyperspace capsules. Initial tests of the project were favourable, and the Emperor approved it via Darth Vader. To ensure its secrecy, Mock's project was assigned aboard the uniquely designed class of Dreadnought named the Arc Hammer. Although it could have been mistaken for a large starship, its primary role was in fact an orbital factory facility to house the next generation of battle droids named Dark Troopers, and were to supplement the Imperial Stormtrooper Corps' plight during the Galactic Civil War against the ground forces of the Rebel Alliance. Kuat Drive Yards had designed and built the Arc Hammer as a solution costing billions of Imperial credits to construct a mobile facility for dual purposes, although the exact year of its creation is unclear. The Arc Hammer must have been constructed and delivered between 19 BBY and 15 BBY, relative to ROM's early campaigns to push for cybernetic troopers. At a length of 9,600 metres and a height of 3,000 metres, as a class of dreadnought it was large enough to dwarf the Imperial Star Destroyer. It was also over 2,000 metres longer than the Bellator class dreadnought. However, compared to other dreadnought classes, it was half the length of the Executive class, and around 5,000 metres smaller than an Assertor class dreadnought. In comparison, its appearance would have seemed strange to opposing factions of the Galactic Empire, as neither did it have the wedge-shaped look of either the Star Destroyer or Dreadnought family. Instead, the Arc Hammer's dorsal superstructure consisted of a long, narrow, dagger-shaped hull. However, its oddest feature was its four large vertical columns surrounding a downward-pointing central column. It would seem these columns contained the officers' row, living, combat and training quarters. The vessel's dorsal held the recognisable conning tower usually seen on an Imperial Star Destroyer. Like other Imperial vessels, this is an area where the command and control systems were located. The internal decks and compartments follow the usual standard design of other Imperial ship designs. However, a large proportion of the Arc Hammer's superstructure was entirely dedicated to the Dark Trooper development and production facilities, which included automated component fabrication, assembly lines and conveyor belts. Construction lines filled the interior, and four large ventral hangars were responsible for receiving cargo vessels and loading batches of Dark Troopers into transports, or deploying them directly to the target world. The armaments of the Arc Hammer consisted of 200 heavy turbo laser batteries, 300 turbo laser cannons, 300 ion cannons, 30 proton torpedo launchers, 200 concussion missile launchers, and lastly 50 tractor beam projectors. Only the larger dreadnoughts such as the Executor, the Sovereign and the Vengeance classes held a greater firepower. This made it a powerful ship even though it was not a typical warship for ship-to-ship combat, and was more than capable of defending itself against smaller or similar sized vessels. Although it is not clear, for a dreadnought class of starship, the shield rating must have been within the range of 30,000 to 50,000 SPD, when you consider that the Sovereign class Star Destroyer was 42,000 SPD. The Arc Hammer was surprisingly fast when running at sublight speed. Compared to much smaller vessels, for example a freighter or a frigate-sized ship, it could match their speed at 70 megalights per hour. The vessel's complement consisted of several TIE Fighter series starfighter squadrons and Dark Trooper hyperspace capsules. The capsules were launched from the Arc Hammer's hangar bays and consisted of a deadly feature which meant they exploded after the Dark Troopers had departed, which was intended to weaken any opposing rebel forces. The two senior officers aboard the Arc Hammer were General Ron Mock, who was obviously the executive commanding officer of the Dark Trooper project, but also Captain Noman, who took care of the vessel's operations and Dark Trooper deployment. On board, the crew complement would have approximately reached around 100,000 junior officers and enlisted technical crew to operate the onboard systems. It is possible, based upon standard Imperial ships, there was a command structure of senior lieutenants, junior lieutenants, ensigns and non-commissioned technicians and gunners. The Starfighter Corps officers and pilots would also have been on board, but reporting as an ancillary Imperial Navy branch. For regular onboard security, Stormtroopers were assigned and supplemented by the more powerful robotic Dark Troopers to defend internal decks and compartments. While the Arc Hammer served mainly as a production facility for the battle droids, and in order to ensure its secrecy, the Arc Hammer frequently jumped into hyperspace to change its location. Only Darth Vader on board the Executor Dreadnought knew its precise location at any point in time. During the destruction of the Rebellion's TAC base on Talay, the Rebel Admiral Toker managed to send a distress signal to alert the Rebels' leadership. Mon Mothma acquired the service of the Rebel allied mercenary Kyle Katarn to investigate the loss of TAC base. The Rebel agent eventually discovered the existence of the Dark Trooper project by only locating and decoding the coordinates found on a navigation card. Via his infiltration of an Imperial security operations building on Coruscant, did the Rebel agent manage to find the Arc Hammer. After covertly boarding the Executive class Dreadnought and hiding aboard an automated cargo container to the Arc Hammer to eventually destroy the Arc Hammer in 1 ABY, Emperor Palpatine was furious with the wasted investment and immediately cancelled the project, ordering his Grand Vizier St. Pestige to send a communique to the Imperial Department of Military Research. The TIE Phantom project would later be the Empire's next response to the rebellion. For more Imperial Explained videos, please give a like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and as always, long live the Empire.